So in the first part of our ExpressJS blogging project, we did a lot of the hard work. We actually set up the project, created a database setup script, and created the root, view, and form to actually take the blog post data and insert it into our SQLite database. So in this video, we're just going to look at creating another route that will actually render the posts that are in the database to a view so that the user can browse the posts that have been stored into the database. So this should be fairly straightforward, and if you are following along with the tutorials, you might want to consider how you're formatting the output of the blog posts, as when we move on to the next lesson, we'll be adding some style to the application just to present it a little bit nicer to the user. So let's get started by first of all creating a new route. And I've just created a new get route called view posts, and a get is pretty standard if we just want to render a template to the page, which is pretty much all we're going to do within this route. But before we do that, let's actually get all of the posts that are stored in the database. And we'll write an SQL select statement that simply extracts the title, data, author, and post content from the posts table. And we'll want to send this statement to the database using the same SQLite functions that we used in the command line blogging project. So this time we'll actually make a small change to how we retrieve the rows from the database. In the command line blogging project we used db.each to loop through all of the results that came back from the SQL statement and log out the post data for each post that's returned. But because we're working in an asynchronous environment with Node.js, if we were to do that here, there's a chance that we might try and render the view before all of the posts have been returned from the database. So as a solution for this problem, we can actually use the db.all function available on the SQLite package, and that will actually get all of the rows in one chunk and allow us to render a new view, the view posts view, and just pass it the rows that have been returned as part of the view's data. So let's finish this off by creating the new view, and we'll use some EJS templating to loop through that array of posts. So in our template here, we're just setting up a for loop, and we'll keep looping until we've reached the end of the posts array. And for each iteration, we're just going to print out the title, date, author, and post content for the row that's been returned from the database. Okay, so with our view post template complete, let's head along to the browser and see how that looks. So here you can see we've got the title, the date, the author, and the post content all displayed to us on the view posts view. And that blog post was the first entry that we created in the previous video. So let's just add a bit of HTML markup around this just so we can read it a bit easier. So here I've just added a h1 tag around the title, a little bit of formatting around the author and date, and wrapped the post content in a paragraph tag. So now it's a little bit easier to read our blog post, and in the next lesson we'll put some more styling around the actual content. But before we finish up, let's add another post to our blog database. And if we head back to the view posts route and refresh, you can see the new post appears underneath the old one. So this lesson was fairly straightforward. We literally just created a new route, a new view, and a template that would actually show the posts that are stored in the existing SQLite database. So hopefully by now you're getting comfortable with creating templates, routes, and using data around the ExpressJS framework.